Hey there. You ever have that feeling where you know all the right words, but when you put them together, they just sound a little off? Well, today we're tackling English syntax. You can think of it as the secret blueprint that helps you turn a jumble of words into a strong, clear, perfect sentence. Honestly, it's the key to communicating with confidence. So let's just jump right in with a little puzzle. Take a look at this phrase, John working extra hard on his hookshot lately. Why does that sound so wrong? You can feel it, right? Something is definitely missing. This is a super common mistake, and by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly why it's wrong, and more importantly, how to fix it. So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover what syntax even is. Then we'll look at the simple sentence, our main building block. We'll break that down into its two essential parts, figure out how to avoid those annoying sentence fragments, and then we'll wrap it all up with why this grammar stuff is actually a communication superpower. Ready? Let's go. First up, what in the world is English syntax? Well, think of it this way. If words are the cars, syntax is basically the rules of the road. It keeps everything moving smoothly and stops you from having a communication crash. Now, if you look it up in a textbook, you'll get a definition like this one. Syntax is the study of the principles and processes by which sentences are constructed in particular languages. Yeah, I know, that sounds pretty academic and maybe a little dry, but the idea behind it is actually super simple.
Let's just boil it down. Syntax is really about two main things. One, the rules you follow to make a correct sentence, and two, the patterns for how we combine words. See, it's not just about what the words mean. It's about how the order of those words creates the meaning.
Okay, so let's get into the most important piece of the puzzle, the sentence itself. This is the fundamental unit, the core building block we use to share any idea in English. So what makes a sentence a sentence? It's a group of words that expresses a complete thought. And that phrase right there, a complete thought, that is the most important part to remember. The idea has to feel finished, like it's not leaving you hanging. All right, pop quest time. Look at these three examples. We've got a really short one, a medium one, and a pretty long one. Which ones do you think are complete sentences? Go ahead, take a look.
And the answer is all of them. If you got that right, awesome. This is a perfect example of a really important rule. The length of a sentence has absolutely nothing to do with whether it's a real sentence or not. You can have a two-word sentence that's just as correct and powerful as a 20-word one.
Okay, so if length isn't the deciding factor, what is? Well, it turns out that every single complete sentence, no matter how short or long, absolutely must have two essential ingredients. Let's break them down. And here they are, the subject and the predicate. The subject is simple. It tells you who or what the sentence is about. Then you've got the predicate, which tells you something about that subject. You gotta have both. They're a team. You can't have one without the other. Let's circle back to our shortest example. He smiles. Who is the sentence about? He. That's our subject. And what about him? He smiles. That's the predicate. It's that simple. Subject, predicate, boom, a complete thought. Now let's try our longer sentence. Autumn leaves twirled gently to the ground. Let's use the same exact logic. What is this sentence about? Autumn leaves. That's our subject. And what did the autumn leaves do? They twirled gently to the ground. That whole chunk is the predicate. See? The principle is exactly the same no matter how many words you're working with. So now that we know about the two essential parts, we can finally talk about one of the most common mistakes out there, the sentence fragment. This is basically what happens when one of those key ingredients is missing from the recipe. A sentence fragment is kind of a fake. It might look the part, it starts with a capital letter, ends with a period, but it's just an incomplete thought. It's missing a subject, or a complete verb, or sometimes both. It just can't stand on its own 2 feet. Remember our puzzle from the very beginning? John working extra hard on his hookshot lately? We've got our subject, right? It's John. But the thought still feels incomplete. We're left hanging. So what's going on here? Here's the problem. It's missing part of the verb. The word working all by itself isn't enough. It needs some helper words. A complete correct sentence would be something like, John has been working extra hard. See that? Adding just those 2 little words makes the whole thought complete. Okay, let's look at another really common type of fragment. Read this one. After the coach encouraged him so much last year and he seemed to improve with each passing game. This one has a subject, he, and verbs, encouraged and seemed, but it's still not a complete sentence. What's the deal? The culprit is that very first word, after. This is what we call a dependent word. It signals that this whole idea depends on something else to be complete. After the coach encouraged him, what? What happened? It's like a movie that ends on a cliffhanger. We're left waiting for the main idea, and that means the thought is incomplete.
So, we've gone over the rules, we've looked at the parts, we've spotted the common mistakes, but why does any of this really matter outside of a classroom? Well, let's get to the most important part, how this becomes your communication superpower.
Look, knowing how to build a proper sentence isn't just about getting a good grade on a test. It is so much more than that. It gives you the power to make your statements crystal clear. It helps you ask questions that actually get you the answers you need, and most of all, it gives you the ability to express your ideas fully and to communicate with absolute confidence.
So, I want you to stop thinking of a sentence as just a grammar rule you have to memorize. It's a tool. It's the most fundamental tool we have for communication. We've just handed you the blueprint for it. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?